Hello, this is a podcast, what do you call it, that I'm going to be doing periodically, um, commenting on events that happened during the week in Southeast Europe and in the Balkans. Uh, this is directed principally towards students in my classes and seminars that are dealing with Southeast Europe at University College London. But I'm going to make them publicly available. They're around for anybody who is interested in hearing about it. How often will I be doing it? I'm going to try to do it about weekly, let's say weekly on average, and I'm going to try to keep the length of them at somewhere around 5 minutes, something like that. Nothing too long. So, what is happening in the region this week that's of interest to us? I want to focus on one set of events that's been the one most prominent in the news, and that is this conflict between Serbia and Kosovo over license plates. Here's the deal. Although there is an agreement on freedom of travel and on recognition of license plates, this agreement has been put in practice only in part. Uh, Serbia has required people coming by automobile into Kosovo, into Serbia from Kosovo, to remove their license plates, get temporary ones in order to use the roads in Serbia. Kosovo has tolerated people with Serbian plates coming in, but last week Kosovo decided that they would introduce reciprocal measures and require the same thing of drivers from Serbia that Serbia requires for drivers from Kosovo. This resulted in an escalation. There were protests. There was an attack, if you can imagine this, on an auto registration office. Uh, Serbia was massing troops and making shows of force on the border. Kosovo brought in special police to the border. In Serbia, various groups of protesters, you would call them hooligans, established a presence on the border. And then today, Thursday, 30th of September, uh, they came out with an agreement brokered by the European Union in which they compromise and say people can drive cars across the border with stickers that they will buy that allow them to use the road. So a sign that they've paid some road tax. I could go into a lot more detail on this, um, but uh, but really it's not very important. This is a manufactured incident that ended. There will be 100 more like it. They will all be about relatively small issues like this one. What can we say about it? First of all, this compromise with the stickers, reasonable compromise. Many states do this. They could have made the same compromise much earlier if they had had the capacity to compromise. Uh, the second thing that perhaps we can say is that there is something interesting about the agreement that Kosovo would withdraw its special police forces and Serbia would get the hooligans to withdraw, because this seems to be the government of Serbia agreeing in a signed document that they control the movements of hooligans in the state, which is something that people have suspected, but perhaps didn't know. But maybe the most important thing that it shows is that in the event of a confrontation or disagreement, the basic impulse of politicians in the region is to escalate. Why is there reflex to escalate? I mean, this might be something having to do with the capacity and the motivations of politicians, but maybe we can put this into a larger frame. If we talk about the source of legitimacy of politicians, because what are the potential sources of legitimacy for a political authority? One is probably a belief in the credibility and the capacity of people in leadership positions to address problems that affect people's lives. Another may be the belief that the politicians will embody and express the frustrations and fears that people hold. And this is probably one of the main motivations for nationalist politics. That is, nationalism relies on encouraging and mobilizing a fear of extinction. And once this fear is awakened, Is it possible to put it back to rest? Well, yes, it is possible. Um, it's possible through the construction of trust, through gestures of goodwill, through displays of understanding that are mutual for people on the other side. This doesn't seem to be happening. And it's why I think a lot of people are asking the wrong question about this confrontation. They're asking, is this a victory for the Serbian president, Aleksandar Vučić, or the prime minister of Kosovo, Albin Kurti? In a way, it is a victory for both of them because they have demonstrated that they are able to escalate and receive a certain kind of result and prevent another kind of result, especially a response from more powerful institutions. Uh, so they've both done well. We don't want to compare them. I think we could also say that it is a loss for everybody else because it is a demonstration of the degree to which citizens are at the mercy of gestures taken for populist purposes by politicians who are not so responsible to them. So that has been your Balkan thought for the week, and I hope you don't mind the presence of my kind and loyal dog Stanislav in the video.